This podcast is brought to you by Kiwi Design. Kiwi is the leader in Oculus Quest and VR accessories. And now, you can deck out your device while supporting the podcast.
The Oculus Quest 2 is a great headset, but do you ever find things could be a bit more comfortable, maybe a little safer? Well, we have the solution for you. With lens protectors, controller grips, face covers, head straps, link cables, headset stands, and so much more.
And let's be real, we've all whacked our controller. You don't want to be that guy messaging Oculus support for your own mistake or waiting weeks for an out-of-stock controller. Visit the link in our show notes now to prepare yourself today.
And you don't need to sacrifice comfort for cost either. Kiwi is constantly running promotions of 20, 25, and even 30% off.
Just visit the link in our show notes and use the promo code on their website to take full advantage of your savings. And be sure to follow the link in our show notes so we get credit and you help support the podcast. And remember, Kiwi has you covered for all your VR needs. This podcast is brought to you today by Zencastr, the company we choose to use for our interviews.
I remember that first interview we had and the stress that we went through trying to find a platform that we were going to host this on.
That's where Zencastr came in. With HD video recording and studio sound quality, we were able to connect seamlessly with guests all over the world.
I love the fact that it's as easy as sending our guests a link, they click on it, and they're connected.
With automatic post-production, secured cloud backup, and automated transcripts, Zencastr is the perfect solution for any remote podcast. If you want to make remote podcasting easy,
make sure you go to zencastr.com/pricing and enter the promo code Ruff Talk VR, and you'll save 30% off your first 3 months.
That's zencastr.com/pricing, promo code Ruff Talk VR. It's your time to share your story. Hey guys, welcome to this episode of Ruff Talk VR. Today we get to do probably my favorite thing on this podcast, which is when we get to pick the brains of the masterminds behind the games we enjoy. So today we're talking with the developers of Arcaxer, Anthony and Aaorn. So guys, do you mind introducing yourselves a little bit to our listeners? Kind of tell them a little bit about who you are and maybe even a little bit about what your game is in case they didn't listen to our review of it.
Sure. I'm Anthony. And this is Aaorn, and we're Overrun Games. We've been making games together for, what is it, like 5-6 years now almost?
Professionally, 5 years now.
Yeah. We went to school together at CSU Chico in Northern California. And then after graduating, we said, hey, let's make some video games. That's what we've been doing ever since.
We did it.
So you said 5 years professionally, so I'm guessing there was a handful of years prior to that you were doing something in the gaming world together.
Yeah, during school there was a couple of false starts that were interesting.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about maybe what these false starts were? I always love hearing the start
build up to what,
what ends up being a good project, but.
Sure. So when we first graduated, we kind of just hashed out a bunch of prototypes that didn't really go anywhere. Until we worked on a game called Wave Magic VR. And Wave Magic, we actually worked on, this was like way back in like the Oculus DK2 days. So nobody really even had like hand-tracked controllers yet. Until I got my hands on this little device called the Leap Motion. I don't know if you guys remember it. It was like an infrared camera you attached to the front of your headset so it could track your hands, kind of like the way the Oculus Quest does right now. So we prototyped a game with that called Wave Magic, which was, I like to think of it as like the precursor to what became Arcaxer. It was another RPG with like the third-person overworld, just like Arcaxer has with first-person combat. But instead of the turn-based system that we have in Arcaxer, it was real-time combat. So it was like you
wave shooter, yeah.
Yeah, so you traveled around overworld and then you'd full-on random encounters, kind of like Pokemon or Final Fantasy, and then you'd get thrown into a battle that was played like a wave shooter. So there was just X amount of enemies, you'd kill them, and then you'd go back to the overworld.
That's why I love that.
Sorry, go ahead. That project we kind of had a team for with more students that we went to school with, and as they kind of split off and went off to do their own things, the project just kind of fell apart and we didn't finish it.
Yeah, that's why I like to ask that, because usually in my experience of talking to developers like you, usually those first couple failed projects are the foundation for what later comes to be a great game.
The finished product, yeah.
Yeah. So what was your guys' first experience in VR as well? I know you referenced the DK2 days. What was,
Okay. So for me, it was at EDC, I want to say like 2014. It was when they first showed off the Oculus DK2, and they had Valkyrie set up at a booth to give demos, and it was my first time ever using a VR headset. And I'm like someone that's really susceptible to to simulations. Like I really feel the drops in my stomach and stuff. Like even doing stuff like at Disneyland, like Star Tours and stuff like that. So when they popped me into Eve Valkyrie and the ship like launched out of that bay, I was like grabbing onto my chair for dear life. Like absolutely, like I almost wanted to rip the headset off because I was so scared. And I played that like 5-minute demo, and I got out of that. I'm like, that's the future. Like I would do that. That was amazing.
what about you,
Now, was
Aaron?
that the year everyone got pink eye?
Yeah, that was the pink eye year.
Nice. For me, my first experience in VR was actually, I don't know, about a year into developing Wave Magic. I visited Anthony from Northern California. He had already moved back to Orange County. And at like 7 in the morning, after a very long day of driving, or night, I guess, I played Wave Magic for like 10 minutes. And that was that was my first experience. That was pretty fun.
Hooked enough that you guys had. So how many people actually worked on your game?
So Aaron and I are the main two guys. I did most of the programming, the game design, UI design, music, and then Aaron did all the 3D art, some concept art, and basically all the 3D visuals you see in the game.
Yeah, we had
Um,
one concept artist who did two characters for us, the main character and Yori. Actually, that was fun. That was a
the
pretty short turnaround on those. And
the
then we have a
splash art
friend.
you see,
Yeah, that's true.
that's her.
Oh, that's true. She did the cover too. Yeah, I like
Yeah,
that. Then Anthony's got a friend named Teaspoon who did some of the music, and
teaspoon.
still like the vast majority of the music was Anthony. So it was mostly just the two of us.
I love
Oh,
the
and
name
don't forget
teaspoon.
Cody.
Oh,
Don't forget Cody.
Cody of course helped. Cody did a couple spells and a few enemies earlier
Yeah.
on.
Yeah. So like most games, you had a lot of people who helped in various little minor aspects, but for the big bulk chunk, it was mainly, the 2-man army of you two. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got the so if people haven't played it, which they should, the level of detail is pretty intense. So what was the actual, how long did it take to start to finish this? Because this wasn't like a slap together.
No, between, not only the artwork, the graphics, and also the gameplay, it's pretty innovative. There's no other real top down.
Dude, the detail is sick. You
Yeah.
get right into like looking at actual stuff that's in the actual scenery. It's like there's a lot of detail.
Yeah.
I remember how psyched I was when I figured out some of the shit. Like oh my god, it's like a USB little zip drive there.
that you're skating around on. So yeah, from start to finish, was this 1 year or was this the whole 5 years that you guys, post college? What was the start to finish for this game?
So this is, I'd say it's coming up on almost 3 years now, but the first year of development was really casual. It was just kind of like a cool thing I was doing
Well,
from time to time on the side.
so we're coming up on like almost 4 years because you're all right. Yeah, we started off really slow. We had a couple ideas here and there. After Wave Magic kind of fell apart, and then
Mhm.
the bulk of production was in about 2 years. It was from 2018 to 2020 when we
Yeah.
launched in February, and then for the last almost a year now, we've been just polishing, porting, adjusting. But the bulk of the game was released last February, and
Say
it was about
2020
two
was when
years.
we really went into overdrive, because that was when I had my Quest at that point,
Yeah.
and I had always designed the game with the Quest in mind. So as soon as I got that device, I was like, okay, I need to get this thing going, and I want it to be out there in one of the first RPGs.
I just
Um,
realized I said the years wrong. It was
that's
2019
okay.
to 2021 because
Yeah,
it's now 2022, and
Oh, that's right.
sure
Oh
is.
yeah.
that's gonna take
Hap-
some getting used to.
oh yeah. You usually by the time you get used to it, you're already like, oh my god, it's almost 2023.
Yeah,
That's
Yeah.
that's
right.
So a reminder to our audience, you guys were the winner of our App Lab Game of the Year.
Absolutely.
And there's
Thanks,
a big
guys.
reason for that is a lot of the games on App Lab are kind of these kind of tech demos. They specialize in one thing. Even on the official store, there's not too many like whole story games where you get story progression. There's only a handful of actual RPGs in any manner. So you guys really brought a lot of innovative aspects that aren't on the store yet, let alone App Lab, even just the official store. Yeah. So what inspired this game? Was it previous other top down games like this? What was the inspiration for this game?
So the inspiration was I had always wanted to make an RPG. That's my favorite genre game, and after playing a lot of VR games, didn't really find anything where I could sit down and just like grind out some levels. And I wanted a good VR game where you could have this good sense of like RPG character progression. um, so that was my first point. I just wanted to make an RPG where you could just spend a lot of time sinking hours into building a character. So that was number one, and then number two was just kind of iterating on wave magic and that whole the third person first person perspective switch system, and adding turn-based combat to that.
Yeah, I really like the perspective system. That was initially done as a way to avoid VR sickness. Maintaining that horizon while you move around really makes it a lot easier on most people. But for me, I just really enjoyed the way that it looks. And then it really does, yeah, capture that early Final Fantasy VIII thing where you're running around the overworld and avoiding stuff. And it turned out really cool, I think.
No, I was
And
I
then,
was
oh, go ahead.
I was blown away with it. I mean, I know Dscruffles was probably more. I think it was one of those you were more excited at the get go than I was. But then you know what really changed it for me was the treadmill.
being able to spam your health.
Dude, I am not gonna lie. That simple ability to just give myself a little health boost before going in and having a little buffer confidence is what absolutely changed that game for me.
Little buffer confidence. I was probably 15 levels higher of this guy's skill level, and he had 1,000 more health than me.
Yep.
He was just spending an hour on that
No,
treadmill.
I would just go work out in the treadmill.
Yeah.
I was happy. And then when
Ever
I had
since we added it, there's been a few people who, yeah, that's their daily COVID cardio.
right,
One of our favorite guys on Discord, he's like, "Yeah, just spent 2 hours on the treadmill. I've got 9 million health now."
It's
it was
insane.
it was ingenious though
Yep.
because it was like I don't know. It gave me enough buffer to go like, okay, I can go back in there and try to get some shit done.
Well, it's hard to
And
complain about the game being too hard if you can just go buff out your stats.
You got to work for
yeah,
it though.
Yeah.
It's not
I
free.
I get my ass handed to me a lot when I play, so the treadmill is super useful to me.
We uh
Oh,
It
we we re- we recently had a booth at Comic Con, and we weren't able to demo the game to people because we didn't want to have to deal with the sanitary issues of wiping down a headset during COVID.
Giving people pink eye,
So
like you referenced.
right, yeah, we didn't want Pink Eye 2.0 happening. So we were just marathoning the game all weekend, and I I spent so long in that treadmill. I'd just be running in place in the middle of our booth, and people would walk by and be like, What is he doing? What is that?" Oh, he's grinding.
Yeah.
He's getting his
Boosting the
stats up.
health.
Getting ready for a dungeon run. That's what's going on.
Yeah.
So you referenced that the game came out in 2020. The
2021.
treadmill was a 2021. Sorry,
Yeah.
was a later edition. The treadmill. This is a game that's for anybody who hasn't played it. There's some post game content that's recently got added. What's the final plans with this game? Are we going to see multiplayer in it? Are you guys just going to keep pumping out expansions, or is it pretty much done to you guys? What's the final plans?
So we have one more major patch to do with this, what we call the casino malware update. We still need to add the final boss and the end of the story to this little post game section. Um, and then from there, we're not entirely sure. We really want to add multiplayer, but we're not sure if that is going to be an Arcaxer 2 thing, or if this will be something we add to this current iteration of the game. We definitely want to do an Arcaxer 2 down the road, but it might be a little later because we have a couple other projects coming up here that we might be working on first.
And then, yeah, good multiplayer is such a fundamental concept. So We have a couple ideas for maybe just adding a multiplayer area. Anthony's got some cool ideas on that, and that might
Mhm.
not interfere too much with the rest of the game or the multiplayer itself. But I'm not sure if we're gonna be able to add it vertically, or I guess horizontally. Yeah,
Mhm.
horizontally.
So these other projects you reference, if you're able to talk about them at all, are these Arcaxer related, or are these completely new game titles that you're working on?
Well, we're probably not going to talk about those too much right now.
Fair
We
enough.
still have a little bit of paperwork to wrap up, but it's definitely coming up pretty soon that we're going to start talking about that, and we're definitely excited.
No, that's awesome.
Yeah, if
Keep our
Arcaxer's
ears open on that.
yeah, absolutely. If Arcaxer's any indication of quality of work, it's definitely something to keep in mind. Or so for App Lab games, like I referenced before, this is one of the most complete ones. It has a lot of ratings, really good reviews. Uh, do you guys have any indication of what it might take to get on the official store, or are you just kind of in the dark, you know, hoping for more reviews is kind of what
An
people are?
email,
Yeah.
waiting for an email.
We
So
know as
y-
much as you do, really, is what it
Okay.
comes down to.
yeah, so there, for the most part, you're kind of in the dark, but you can go off what other developers that have moved on to the store have done. And from what it looks like, the key is to have really polished marketing materials. You need like a professional trailer. Everything should look like this is a AAA game, basically. Um, so that is actually part of what we're doing. We're actually redoing our game trailer right now, getting new promotional materials out there. And then in addition to that, obviously you need lots of good reviews. The game needs to be popular. Oculus needs to see that you have like a flourishing community. And then overall, I think the most important thing is that the game is just like a good representation of what the Oculus is, and it's not going to get you sick or make you try VR and say like, oh, that was terrible. I never want to do that again.
Although there are a few on the
On the
Oculus
official
store
store, yeah,
that
you go play that roller coaster game for free.
I wasn't gonna go
I
there.
I go here. I've heard so many people have recently gotten a quest about that being their first experience since it's free, and just being like, "Oh my god, I can't handle VR sickness." It's like, no, just don't go on a roller coaster in VR for
Mhm.
your first time.
First ever time, yeah.
Well,
So I gotta say, for
that
for all the little things that you listed that you gotta hit, it seems like you guys have hit them all. You guys
Yeah, and
have
I
an
know, I
innovative.
know, I know. One of their Oculus's thing is that what's the future plan? Like there has to be some sort of something in the future.
And you guys are even still pumping out content.
Yeah, so if there's content and the words Arcaxer 2 is in the mind, then you know that just makes sense. It pains us a lot to see that there's developers who put, I'm not saying others don't put a lot into it, but the finished result is store worthy content. The length of time you can play this game for is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's a full story. Again, even on the official store, there's not many of those.
Yeah, and the story's not bad.
Yeah, you're usually a guy.
Yeah,
Stratus
I'll admit it.
here, he usually clicks through everything. He's that guy. No idea what's going on. Just go into combat. This one actually got him to read through the dialogue.
Yeah, I would skip now and then, and I was like, you know what? I'm starting to get sucked into the words here. I kind of
Hmm.
want to know what you know. I actually want to know. It's more than just a click through and just start fighting thing.
Yeah.
But shit, I spent like 2 hours on the hoverboard. Just
It's a fun
scooting
one.
around. No, I got hooked on trying to get all the little things on the map so I
Yeah,
could
the
get.
Oh,
the
oh,
obstacle course is so much fun.
yeah.
Oh my god, some of them. There's one that I never thought I'd get, and I pulled it off. So the physics that I'm guessing I know nothing about how you would put a hoverboard into a virtual world like that and get it to respawn so well. So I mean, hats off to you for that because I wouldn't know where to freaking begin.
yeah.
It's smooth. It's real smooth. I have a lot of fun on that.
So, out of curiosity, where did the name Arcaxer even come from?
Oh, that's a fun one. It's just a combination of the word arcane and hacker, but with an X, so like
It's just
hacks.
peak '90s. Yeah,
Yeah, so it's arcane and haxer, I
it
guess.
it came from childhood.
It's freaking awesome. No, there's a lot of I'd say nostalgic things in the game too.
Yeah, it's
I mean,
it,
I'm an older guy, so it's like there were things that caught my eye that I was like, "Ooh, I think I've seen something similar to that before in my lifetime playing games." So no, I
Oh yeah.
I had a fun experience.
yeah. So you've referenced VR sickness a couple times. In my experience, I didn't get any queasy legs with your game at all. Is that something that you've gotten feedback wise that people have gotten sickness at all, or are you pretty in the clear with that?
Yeah, we haven't heard anything about sickness, I think,
Yeah.
since we released the game.
It really, I
I,
mean, it's ground up designed to not be rough on
Yeah.
your stomach. It's when you're in first person, you can only move by physically moving. Well, unless you turn on first person walking mode, which the
Hmm.
people who are doing that don't have to worry about sickness because they decided that they hate their stomach. I guess I can't do it.
I will say,
But
I don't know if you guys tried the hoverboard in first person.
yeah.
That will make you
it's
sick.
Yep.
it's not
My
as bad as you would think, but it makes you feel bad.
Yeah.
my only problem with that, I didn't stay in that mode long enough to get sick, just because I was having trouble steering. I just kept falling off the edge. I was
Oh
going
yeah.
everywhere with it in first person. But yeah, no, I had really strong legs playing this game. This was
I
actually
would, if it was jerky movement, I would have gotten
Hmm.
sick. But I've only had one experience the whole time of owning an Oculus where I had a kind of like motion sickness feeling. But
Mhm.
if it was jerky movement and it wasn't so smooth, and that's why I give the props on the and had so much fun playing around with it because it's smooth. It's not, you know,
yeah.
little jerks left and right. And
So something I'll give this game a big credit for, and it's something that makes me excited to hear about a sequel, is you guys have built in a really good kind of lore and in-game universe. There's a lot of funky aspects, like the enemies. Some of these
Yeah.
enemies are really silly, like floating swords.
Yeah.
Was that both of you guys? Was that mainly one of you coming up with these? Where did these enemies come from? These are freaking hilarious.
Most of the enemies were just me thinking what would be fun to make today. Often Anthony would give me like, I need to do X, Y, or Z, or I'm going to repurpose this in these ways. So like the sword enemies, that was fun. I made a pirate scimitar, and then I just made that. We call it the glitch or the what is it? The aberration texture over it. The purples, oranges, and psychedelic cyans. Some of my favorites actually were the aberrations, like the floating disco ball and the triangle. And Anthony made all of those mechanically a lot more fun than they really should have been, considering they were just angry geometry. But yeah, it's just kind of whatever felt right for the area, whatever I was feeling, kind of sticking with. I gave myself a pretty broad palette of things that I could play with, 90s anime and vintage Final Fantasy games and World of Warcraft if I was tired. So that's a lot of the enemies were just stuff I like.
Yeah, no, it's kind of something Stratus referenced. Just throughout the whole game, you'll get little throwback references here and there to different things.
Oh,
Um,
especially yeah, in the environment stuff, I put a lot of puns in there just because I really like puns.
no, good job.
They're all dumb and they make me happy.
So, when you guys are playing this game, what class do you use?
Oh, that's a good
Ooh,
question.
I think my go-to is usually the thief because I really like the random elements. I don't know if you guys have tried thief, but it gets a hack called RNGza, which just randomly casts any hack in the game. So often I'll just fill my loadout with RNGza and I'll just let the game decide what I'm doing the entire time.
I do thief as well for different reasons. My favorite is Ninja Instinct when you can bat back enemy attacks. It makes me feel like I'm Link at the end of the game. Also, sniper shot is just my favorite thing. I don't know. I was really good at shuffleboard in college, and this lets me take advantage of my skill set.
Both guys who worked on the game both picked
Play
thief. I
thief.
think the wise move would be to get good at thief.
Well, what I've tended to notice, see,
Yeah.
I use the fighter because I'm usually just the idiot who likes to plow forward and just hit things. What I've noticed is usually for RPGs is the really skilled players will be the thief or the rogue, and
Mhm.
then the brute idiots like me that just want to
Just
plow
want to
forward.
run in there.
We usually pick the fighter.
But
Um,
people used to just straight up murder themselves the first time they played the game because your sword usually does damage to you,
yep.
and everyone was like, "I want to just hit things with a sword." So Anthony was like, "Okay, well, we're gonna make fighter, and he can do that."
Yeah.
So, fun fact, Fighter actually used to get Hack and Slash, that main talent that lets you use your
Way
AP
later.
for attacks, a little later. Not even that much later, like 2 levels later. But a lot of people, like you said, they'll just tap through and they don't read. Even after the whole tutorial where it explains, like, oh, these attacks are going to damage you,
Yeah.
they won't realize that. And they'll just go right into the first dungeon, go up to the enemy, start slashing it, and then
Yep.
die. So I'm
Yep.
like, okay, I'm gonna one give them that ability earlier, and two, I'm gonna have it auto equip. So now,
Yeah.
as soon as you get out of that tutorial, you already have hack and slash automatically equipped, so you cannot kill yourself if you're playing
S-
fighter.
So many people died.
It's funny you mention that because the first time we played, or not the first time, but when we first started playing, I played as a fighter, and
Yeah.
Stratus selected the Dark Knight or the Black Knight. What is it? The Dark Knight?
Yeah,
Dark Knight, yeah.
Yep. So he selected that, and I'm like, yeah. Once you get the gun, then you'll be able to hit people and not get your health, taken away. I didn't realize that it was a
This
passive
was so
ability yet
bad.
that the fighter gets. I hadn't like figured it all out. Yeah, I was my character was like level 3, so I was like, yeah, just get the gun, and then you'll be able to shoot people, and it won't take your health away. And he's like, all right. He gets the gun. He's like, it's still happening. I'm like, I don't know. I'm having a blast. I
I was losing like I think 10 health every time I pulled the trigger, and it took me just a little bit to realize what was going on.
Yeah. And then I go into the menu, I go into the passive abilities, and I see that it's like, oh, I seem to have unlocked something. I'm like, that would make sense. It comes with the fighter. So I was like, you might want to select either a different class or just deal with it. He was like, all right, I'm gonna go be a fighter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Anthony, you called the Dark Knight a challenge class, right?
Yeah. So I
Yeah,
think
it's
I'm not sure which patch you guys played, but at some point we made it so the Dark Knight and the Blue Mage actually it says like challenge class on the menu, and then when you start, it actually just skips the tutorial because it assumes like okay, you probably know what you're doing at this point.
Yeah, that could have been me.
Yeah,
Because I
yeah.
saw the
yeah.
I saw the come on, let's be real. I said Dark Knight. Well, yeah, no brainer. That's the one I want to be. It's even separated from all those other measly choices. So
Yeah,
I
you have to
grabbed
turn
it.
around to find it.
Remember you're asking
that
like,
one's
what'd you
a
pick?
slightly rarer example of Anthony making a pun, and it makes me laugh every time.
Yeah, the Dark Knight. I feel like maybe I should have chose a different name for that class because it's not like a traditional Dark Knight you'd think of an RPG that uses like death magic or something. It's actually a reference to the dark web. Because I don't know if you guys have played older Final Fantasy games, but there was a class called the Onion Knight, and the Onion Knight would be able to learn like any ability in the game, which is kind of what Dark Knight and Arcaxer does. It can learn randomly any ability every 3 levels when it levels up. So I was going to call it the Onion Knight, but I felt like that was too on the nose for just copying Final Fantasy.
Well, also then it becomes like a Tor onion router thing, and like the only
Yeah.
people that are gonna get it then are actually criminals. So like maybe that might
I
be a little
changed
too
it to
obscure of a pun.
yeah.
Well,
So I
it
changed
could
it
have
to
fit
Dark
in.
Knight in reference to the dark web.
So you still get the joke in there, but just not a
Yeah, not any.
Well, it's a
direct sequel.
convoluted pun, which is the best pun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny. The name is definitely why Stratus went to it. So
Yep, it worked.
so
It lured me.
we've gotten mixed answers from developers on this question before because you guys tend to spend so much time developing your game. The first thing you might not do is go play other VR games. But currently, are there any other games that you guys play besides your own, or after 8 hours of developing, you're all set on VR?
So as far as VR, I have a huge backlog.
That's usually how it
I don't
goes.
actually. Yeah, I have a. I really want to play Resident Evil 4, so that's next on my list. Um, Honestly, I think the last thing I played in VR outside of that was Phasmophobia, which I wouldn't really say is a good VR game. It's a good game, but I
And then
just like to play
Anthony
that.
likes to be very, very scared,
Yeah.
as opposed to somewhat scared.
That's
I
just
got
that's
you.
one of our party games we play with all our buddies at night. So usually I'll be in VR so I can go up and wave my arms around at people, and they can't because they're playing on a monitor like a normal person.
Yeah, and then I'm mostly just flat screen, hang out with my friend gaming. I like video games, but the last time I just sat down and played a new one, it's been a while.
No, it's understandable. It's like when it's your job, it's kind of
Mhm.
hard to do it in your free time. I get that 100%. So when you guys have some free time, what's your kind of go-to hobbies besides game development? Do you like to hike, fish? You guys fencing? What do you guys do in your free time?
This might not be a surprise, but I like to run, which is the reason why I added the treadmill. It was kind of like
Yeah.
like, hey, this is one of my favorite things. Now you have to do it.
But at least you reward for it.
Right.
If only real life had those same kind of rewards. If I ran a mile and I saw my health stat go up, 10, shit, I'd be running miles every day.
Running a marathon.
Well, the real problem is that in real life they then take those gains right back.
Yeah,
Like you eat
right.
one time, you
Unfortunately,
go to Taco Bell one time, and it's all destroyed.
The health goes back down to 0.
what?
Yeah, I don't have too much in the way of hobbies. I like to read, mostly comic books these days because pictures, I guess. I do a lot of doodling. I try not to work too much, but I do work too much. So I wind up doing a lot of 3D art in my free time too.
That's usually the way it goes as well.
3D art, is it
Yeah,
all digital 3D art, or do you still, or
yeah.
mostly?
It's generally digital. I do some miniatures, like I play some miniature war games. Although it's been a while with the COVID, so I haven't been going to the miniature groups that often. But I'll model with green stuff. It's a fun clay polymer. It works a lot like 3D stuff, but it's more tricky and it doesn't let you undo stuff. But mostly miniature painting. It's yeah, I'm very predictable on that one.
So do you own a 3D printer?
No, yeah, I like the old fashioned tactile feel of green stuff. Although if I had a 3D printer, it'd be pretty easy because I just ZBrush export. Let's go.
Yeah, just it seems the ease of being able to actually get something. I'm just always impressed with like the artistic brain that they can take something from their head and make it happen in front of them. So to me, the 3D printer was just an easier vice to get the thought out there quicker than
Yeah.
waiting on
Well,
some of the
especially
geniuses.
these days, I'm on a lot of online 3D art groups. There's quite a few people who have extremely affordable Patreons where they just here's 30 STLs for D&D this month, $5, let's go. So if you have a 3D printer, it's a dangerous time.
Oh, absolutely.
So, if you don't mind me asking, how did you guys come to the price point that you guys came to? It's one of the more expensive App Lab games, and I think it's justified with every
It's
penny.
worth it.
But I'm always curious. It's a tough thing to put a price point on your own work. It's tough to look at it objectively. So, how did you come to that price point?
So I was mostly going off of the price of other indie RPGs, not just VR, but stuff you'd see on Steam. And then I took into account how long I wanted the game to be. So I knew it was going to be a longer experience than most of the stuff you're going to get in VR. And then on top of that, we also picked a kind of genre and a type of game that I really didn't think was available at the time. So I thought, okay, this is an experience you're only going to be able to get with our game. So I think I can price it up a little higher than what you're used to with a lot of stuff on the Oculus at the moment.
Yeah, it's pretty much just the full price indie game is where we went. And we did at first hear a lot of hesitation, although I've noticed as more and more people have been fully exposed to the game and have a better idea of the concept and the stigma of App Lab seems to be wearing off a little bit. I haven't heard any feedback on that for a while, so that's been nice.
And then, in addition to that, part of the reason I felt that we could have that price point be a little bit higher is because we offer that demo, which,
Mhm.
as a lot of people you'll see talking about the game on Reddit and Discord, they'll say this demo is pretty long. Like
Mhm.
we give you like the first 2 to 3 hours of the game for
For
free.
people like me, it's 3 to 4 hours.
Yeah, and that
It's
that gives
up to
you
the
a
first big boss, and it's yeah.
yeah, that gives you a really good taste of what the rest of the game is. I almost wanted the full game to feel like you were buying like almost like an expansion. That was actually the original idea for the game was that you're gonna release like each part of the stack as
Oh yeah.
like a $2 to $5 expansion. But with App Lab and all the different stores we're doing, sometimes DLC is tricky to figure out. So we
Well, and
just
the
said,
rest of it
okay,
came together kind of quickly and became a lot more sizable than we thought. Like,
yeah,
5 blocks didn't sound like a lot at the time, but it's quite a bit of gameplay.
yeah.
Oh no,
No, it's a shit ton of gameplay.
you're not blowing through this game in a couple days unless you're just a maniac who's going to spend his whole life in VR.
24 hours a day.
It's got a lot of gameplay and content in it, and it's got post game content, and then even then, there's
There's little
now
side things going on too that you
now
could
what
technically do.
four different classes. It's like there's so much
5 now.
replay. Five now, yeah. So much replayability in it. It's worth every penny. So I didn't mean that question any offensively or anything. I just
No, yeah, no.
you know
Yeah.
uh, definitely worth the $25. To be honest with you, I didn't even play the demo. I just went
Yeah.
No.
right into the full game.
No.
I was App Lab browsing one day. I tend to do that a lot. I'll go on the different online directories and just go see what's available because To be honest with you, some of my favorite experiences have come through App Lab, and I saw this one, and I was like, top-down RPG with first-person combat. I was like, I don't think I've seen anything like this on the store. So I bit the bullet, and then I hounded Stratus over here for a couple weeks, and right after that, he started loving it.
Yeah, no, I was probably the perfect person to play it too, because I felt I could feel the
getting sucked in. He was skeptical. I always like when
like, all right, or, I can't wait to play it tonight, that type of thing. Like when we get home from
Yeah.
work and I'm thinking about it, and so it definitely left its mark. I just liked it though. At the end of the day, again, it's to me, it's more than just one game too. There's a multitude of things going on there. So I mean,
Oh
you
yeah,
could just
Anthony really kept the gameplay variable. It's even though it's kind of grindy, every enemy is a different thing. Overworld's different, combat's different. It stitches together a lot of fun ideas to keep it moving.
oh yeah, not to mention you could spend. I mean, I won't lie, I ran through a couple of rooms like I was on fire just to try to find the stairs to get to the next level. But
Yeah.
That's more credit to wanting to advance the story than anything.
yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
I wanted to know what's next,
Yeah.
and it's like, if I can avoid having to fight in this particular moment, I will.
But you can spend a lot of time going through.
Well, that was what changed later on. It's like, no, I'm going to every single room. I'm checking everything. I don't care who you are. I felt I listen. I spent hours on that treadmill. I'm getting my money's worth out of that workout.
Yeah.
I'm going right in there.
I feel really obligated to scour every corner of every dungeon because we've got a few of our Discord users that in earlier days spent literally days hunting for specific weapons. So now I feel like in solidarity, whenever I go through, I have to 100% every floor just to make sure.
Yeah. And props to you guys. You guys have I check it out every, probably a couple times a week. You guys have a very active Discord community where I'll see some people post, and it seems like they really try to push the limits of what's possible with the game in terms of stats and everything like that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's got a decent following. People like this game a lot.
It's for people who like RPGs. Again, there's not another on the Quest store, so you go out looking for it, and you find it. I think if a game like this, if it was on the official store, I think you guys would blow up because RPG people love that shit, but some people don't do more than browse the actual official store, so you're kind of
Yeah.
at that limitation,
Right.
Yeah, we're on the same page with you there.
I mean, I get why they do it. They want to curate the content of their official store. But just to look objectively, you look at, some of the games that completely skipped.
Well, it also makes you wonder. It's like, do they have anybody actually playing these games? Or are
Yeah.
they just going on algorithms and words and text instead
Yep.
of somebody being paid to say, okay, this week, this is what you're doing and what do you think? Like the old days of getting a movie out, people had to freaking watch it. So it's like, if I find out ever that that's not part of the process, I'm even more disappointed.
It's all just, social media following and that kind
numbers.
of stuff.
Show us the algorithms. And,
I will say, so from what I've heard, I don't know if it's changed since then, but I know they used to have like a council of, I think it's like 10 to 20 people. And basically for anything, for like a pitch to get approved for the quest or for something to move from App Lab to the store, they would have to unanimously decide that it would go through. So if even one person on that like council had any problem with the pitch, it would just, that was it. It was done for.
Well, then Carmack himself said, yeah, the App Lab approval process is I'm not sure if he said understaffed or if it's a bottleneck or something, but it seemed like it might be a skeleton crew on it, which
That's
is
sad.
disappointing.
App Lab is my favorite part of the quest. I have
Yeah, there's some
many
really
cool-
neat stuff out there. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's stuff that I don't even know the percentage of people. I mean, we say it verbatim over and over and over. App Lab, App Lab, App Lab. Google it, search it in directly. Please give us a little store button in the store that says
Yeah,
App
something.
Lab. It just makes no sense because there's a lot of good content on App Lab. Enough that we
dedicate a whole part of our podcast,
a little series
to,
just to App Lab, because it's like, come on, these are, and again, they're not broken. We don't talk about anything that's broken or anything that's botchy or undeveloped or shouldn't be. Where we only talk about games that we feel
probably should be on the
should
official
be on the store. And why do I have to go through some like shadow government to get this game, you know, even with pop-ups when you buy it, say this isn't an Oculus game.
Yeah.
We own it, but it's not official.
Yeah, the pop-up always makes me a little sad whenever I go to the webpage.
Yeah, it's just, you know, so you can see, like, especially with the amount of people now getting the headsets for the holidays, they're going to be, you know, how do you get the freaking word out? That I'm always impressed with anybody that can market from App Lab.
Yeah, it's a tough sell to build your own online community, do all the social media without actually being able to get people onto your game besides a direct link. It's a little bit of a double-edged sword.
Although I'll gamble, I'll bet these guys are going to be in this store, either the Arcaxer 2 or at some point, because it's like the development's too good. So that's just my, if I were a betting person, that'd be my bet.
This is how I look at it. If you guys were a rhythm game or a zombie game, I would probably say you're going to stay in App Lab. But if you want to diversify the amount of content on the official store, like there's not board games, strategy games are really missing, RPGs are really missing. These are genres that aren't even on the official store. So if this was like an oversaturated market, I could understand more why they don't want to keep adding in more, but I just can't wrap my brain around why, you know, the only RPG besides, you know, Walking Dead, Saints and Sinner isn't on the official store. It's mind-boggling to me.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Well, then speaking of marketing, all of our marketing is just me and Anthony on Reddit and Twitter, and a lot of the people will post specifically on like the Oculus Quest 2 subreddit, like, "Hey, what are some RPGs that I can play on my Oculus Quest 2?" And the top 3 responses are always Fallout 3 on PCVR, Skyrim on PCVR. Well, I guess Resident Evil 4 is on the Quest now, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, it's just
I would
it
call
is
that more action
extremely
adventure.
underserved.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, but I think there's a lot of people looking for RPGs, just like you said. You know, they're posting on Reddit. I see it pop up, and it's like that people just don't know that this game exists, and it's like, oh man,
We're
it's
getting more
painful to
people
see.
are bringing us up, which always feels good. So I'm gonna keep smacking my head into that wall until I don't have to anymore.
So I don't mean to keep harping about the other work that you guys can't talk about, but if you don't mind me asking one more thing about it,
Yeah.
do you guys have plans to stay in virtual reality development, or are you looking to go more flat screen development?
Oh no, we're full on virtual reality, XR. I've always been about. I love emerging technologies. That's always been my thing. Every device I ever work with is something that is like on your face or something weird, like an AR headset or a lamp or.
Yeah, really, Anthony's too good at VR concepts to just walk away from that.
Yeah.
Okay, I was gonna be very sad leaving this interview if it was like, yeah, we're kind of working on a kind of Fall Guys type game.
Got this
you know?
mobile app
No.
Yeah.
we're pumping out.
I honestly, I can't wait to start working about our next thing because it's definitely it's going to be pushing the boundaries and going kind of like, again, I can't say too much, but it's some next gen stuff. I think it's going to be really cool.
No, I can't wait for it. Again, if Arcaxer is any indication of the quality of work coming out,
Yeah, that's a sample. Little appetizer of what's coming. Come on. That is ridiculous.
Right. And I will say selfishly, I do hope we do see online multiplayer come, even if it's just co-op.
One of those,
I know, right? These developers, they do so much hard work. They pump out such a good product.
For the no selfie cam.
And then I go, oh, well, I wish just had, I hope after these products, you know, these other projects are done, I hope, you know, in either Arcaxer 2 or, you know, in a later update, we do get some sort of co-op feature or something like that. I would love to fight alongside Stratus.
Yeah, co-op would be fun.
I think co-op would make this go from a game that I personally played through, you know, a couple times to something that, you know,
co-op would boost the replayability.
Yeah, I'm in there almost every week, you know, with co-op.
Yep.
So just to
adding friends does extend the shelf life of a lot of things.
Yeah, which it's a double-edged sword. I think that some people play VR maybe because they don't have friends, so co-op only game can be tough. But you know, selfishly, I'll say that you know co-op would make this probably my favorite game on the Quest store.
Damn. Damn, dude.
Damn.
No, he's a tough one to get really good ratings out of. So when I know he gets excited about certain games, it's like I know how legit it is.
Yeah, well,
because he's not giving freebies.
I'm a sucker for RPGs. You know, it's always my go-to. So when I first
good RPG too.
Good RPGs. That's a good good
It's an
disclaimer.
important qualifier. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot of jank out there, but nonetheless, when I first got the Quest 2, that was one of the first genres I was searching for, and I'm a little bit of a wuss. I won't lie. I don't always like horror games by myself. Like if nobody's home, I don't want to put on a VR headset. Dude, if I'm playing Loco Dojo, a happy game, and I hear a noise down the hallway while I'm home alone, I'm taking off my headset because I don't need to get stabbed while I have a VR headset on. So Walking Dead isn't going to be the first game I go to play, even though it's an RPG game. It's like, it's just the best of what's available, So when I finally saw this available, I was like, score,
Get
got
the
it.
fear factor.
Yeah, and I don't think I'm alone in that. I think there's a lot of people that
We've got one guy who likes the game, but there's a spider later on in the game, so he won't play it. And I understand that, and I sympathize with that. But it's
Hey,
it's a little nuts.
tell him he gets to kill the spider. I had no
And it's
fear.
not.
I had
I
no
think it's
fear
a
or
cute
anything with this
spider.
game. Yeah, this game was silly to me. This game had a lot of
I
think
silly
it's
is my favorite word. Yeah.
It had all the variables. Good storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
I think the sound score was definitely unique.
Funny companions. I don't
Old
want to
school
give.
meets new school.
I don't want to give any spoilers on the companions, but
The dialogue Anthony wrote is all very fun. Yeah.
I found myself laughing a lot of it.
I still do, and I've seen it every step of the way.
So if you guys, it sounds like you still do play this game a bit. As thieves, like Stratus knows, I might have to go fire on my headset and try to be a thief for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
How long does it take you to get through this game? Because for me, it took me several weeks to beat this game. I imagine you might be able to speed run it a little bit.
Oh yeah, we can beat the game pretty fast now. I think
At LA Comic Con, it was like 8 hours.
So we were playing it at what? I don't know. I think we were at the convention maybe 10 hours a day, and we were there
about
Yeah, we were there for 3 days, and I think we cleared the game twice. And also did like 99% of the side content.
Grinding and stuff.
Yeah.
So probably I'd say Anthony can get it down to about 10 hours when he's in the zone. Me,
Yeah.
20 hours. I die a lot.
Just shows how much content.
Yeah,
The guys who made the game, it takes 10 hours.
Yeah, there's most of the games on the official store. You're not going to put 8 to 10 hours in, let alone
not on a once through.
No,
and you're not the person who made it.
I was going to say, let alone the developer. That we've talked to some developers, like for puzzle games, the developers we've talked to for them, they can beat their game in 20 minutes because with all the puzzles. It shows how long this game is. The guys who made it, it still takes them a work day to get through it.
Yeah, it's kind of related. My favorite compliment we ever get is, "You guys killed my battery."
Yeah,
which it frequently happens on the first time going in. Yeah.
Yeah, we reference that.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to go in for it for a good haul, make sure you get a battery backup, or you can plug yourself in, because you could easily kill through your battery trying to, and you won't even know what's happening.
No, you're too immersed.
Yep.
You're not going to notice that warning pop up while people are shooting bubbles at
Ignore
you and
that
things like
sound,
that. Right? And the funny thing is, usually when we're ramping down to finally review a game, it's that last week. Usually our play session is like, we'll start with a game like Population 1 or After the Fall, then go play another game that we're reviewing, and then play that till our battery dies. When it was like the final couple days before we're reviewing it, we're like, we can't play Population 1 or After the Fall, or After Fall wasn't out yet.
The whole battery.
Yeah, we're gonna blow through this. We're not gonna be able to finish this game. It's too much content. And definitely like Stratus referenced before, if you're playing this game, you're having trouble, you're not able to get through the stack, you're dying from a boss, dedicate an hour of your life, go on that treadmill.
Yep.
An old school grind. You're going to.
There's some real good dances for the treadmill too.
Oh yeah.
Everyone's got their own method.
That's actually a good question. How do you guys run? Because me and Stratus run differently.
Yep.
I kind of
pump
the air.
I like to just run in place because that's how I designed it. However, I know that is not the most efficient way to do it. I know one guy on the Discord will just he'll put his head down and just swing his arms left and right. So the key is, obviously I can't really tell if you're running in real life. So all I do is I look at, are the arms swinging and is your head moving somehow, like up and down or left and right or anything. So as long as all those things are happening at once, the treadmill's going to be moving.
I found a lot of angular motion on all 3 axes seems to trick it and get the most gains per second. So yeah, kind of flailing like a lunatic is my
Yeah.
go-to method.
See, because I'm a dumbass. This it's a central thing that comes around a lot. I'm pretty slow. So the guy has a heart above him because
Yeah.
he gives you health, right?
Yeah.
Well,
Mhm.
I interpreted that wrong, and I basically like hump the air. I like waddle my arms and my hips and my head forward and back at the same time because I'm like, well, it's a heart, right?
Oh, you're trying to beat it like a heartbeat?
Yeah, and like, nope. That's
No.
not what you need to do. I learned when Stratus told me he waddles side to side, right?
Yeah,
That's what
I
you
did
do.
this weird, and
Like
I'd
almost
move
like a
my head.
penguin.
Yeah, I'd waddle
Yeah.
like a penguin, and I'd get a. If you can get a rhythm, you can. For well maintaining it, it works really
Well,
well.
and then yeah, keeping it going, that's the important part because you can get like insane bursts, but then you're just wore out. So the penguin
Yeah.
model, that's got my stamp of approval.
Yep, penguin mode works.
Yep.
Good model.
Anything that's a rhythm. That's
First
Yeah.
time I ran in place, I was like,
Yeah.
dude, I'm running like a legit mile in my living room here.
Yeah,
I'm like,
you were
this is
tell-
crazy.
you were telling me how much you were sweating.
Yeah, and I'm like, why aren't you sweating? And you're like, I'm just trying to hump the air, and I'm like, huh?
And you're like,
You don't have to move, but no, you have to move.
yeah.
I'm telling you, that was one of the funnest things. That is so stupid because it's not necessary. You didn't have to put it in there, but it's damn fun.
Yeah. Did you add
And
that because? Sorry, keep going.
okay. Yeah, in Anthony's developer side quest for like demo bio whatever, it says I make you play my stupid running game. How about that? Or something like that. Anthony likes mini games, so
Mhm.
so that's why we added that one.
Yeah, the punching bag's fun too.
Mm-hmm.
I like that one a lot, yeah.
I just sometimes I get it too
I don't trust
swingy.
myself.
Yeah, that's my
Yep.
favorite part. You have to pull your punches just a little bit or else it goes everywhere.
Yep. I might do an over the head and hear that ceiling fan
Yeah.
noise. I don't want to.
Clunk.
Oh, that's always a danger, yeah. It's
Yeah.
been a while since I punched anything while in VR, but knock on wood.
No, trust your guardian. That's all I say. You see that blue grid pop up?
Yeah, it's
Stop.
It doesn't mess around, yeah.
not part of the game.
No, the guardian does not lie.
It does integrate way too well with our overall aesthetic.
Yeah, well, because you guys have the
The world
dome.
guardian. Yeah.
Yeah.
Your whole world
Yeah.
is a guardian.
Which we built before the quest was released.
I was
so
I was
think
gonna
they
ask
stole
if
it
that
from
was
us.
I was gonna ask if that was deliberately integrated to look like a quest guardian, but in like a world sense, like you're trapped in this guardian world or virtual world.
That was a happy coincidence.
Happy
I think
coincidence
just
that worked in your
we're
favor.
all thinking along the same
Yeah.
lines for that one. Yeah.
Group think, that's all.
Fair
Yeah.
enough.
Yep.
So we're approaching about 50 minutes. I think
Yeah,
that's
we should wrap this up.
we'll wrap this up
Let these
definitely.
guys
But
enjoy their day.
like I said to listeners, guys, this was our App Lab Game of the Year. There's reason for that. It's worth every penny. If you like RPGs,
You owe it. Yeah.
this is the best on
Can't
the
say
store.
you like an RPG and find this game and go, I don't want to try it.
Yep.
Then you really don't like RPGs. You're just talking shit. It's like I think if anything, people might see the price and go, oh, that seems a little high for App Lab. But
that's the
But
problem.
if you use the mentality that not all these games should be in App Lab and should be in the store, all of a sudden that price makes sense.
Yeah.
And for normal people like me who will probably get a week's worth of content to go through it on a nice, set pace, not crashing through it on a convention weekend, you're getting a week's worth of, and that's
couple
just
weeks.
one. Yeah.
Couple weeks.
With ease. And then you're going to want to go back because now you're going to have a different mental strategy of things you maybe should have done.
Yeah, and then even a month later, you have to go back because then you hear the developers play it as thieves.
Thieves.
That's not
and
the
you're
class
like,
you use at all.
I want to be a thief. So yeah.
So
I couldn't be more grateful for you guys taking time out of your day to enlighten us a little into what it took to make this game happen.
yeah, and I can't wait to see what future projects. Whether
Oh, I
it's-
got my ears open.
Oh yeah,
I'll at you when we have our next announcement coming up.
Sweet.
perfect. We'll love to have you on, and definitely we'll promote the hell out of that. If Arcaxer's any indication of the quality of work coming, definitely stay tuned for you too. All right,
Thanks,
so
guys.
guys, hope you enjoyed this episode, and check us out on Friday. Actually, podcasting remotely can be a challenge. And when we first began interviewing developers, we ran into every headache imaginable.
From connection issues to video lag to sound quality performance, we knew there had to be a better platform we could use.
That's where Zencastr came in, allowing us to easily connect with guests all over the world. Zencastr is simple to use with no download needed. With studio quality sound, HD video recording, automatic post-production, automatic transcripts, and a cloud backup, Zencastr is the perfect solution for any remote podcast.
If you'd like to have the same easy experience that we did for all your podcasting and content needs, then make sure to go check out zencastr.com/pricing and enter the promo code RuffTalkVR, and you'll save 30% off your first 3 months.
That's zencastr.com/pricing, promo code RuffTalkVR. Zencastr, making remote podcasting easy. Hey guys, Dscruffles here. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe and rate us 5 stars on whatever podcast platform you listen to. And definitely don't forget to check out our official subreddit and join us there at r/RuffTalkVR. There you can join a community of other podcast fans, join us for some podcast meetup games, get first scoop on new episodes, interact with us a little bit directly, and more. As well, be sure to check out our official podcast supporter link, the Buy Me a Coffee link you can find right in our show notes, where you can donate to the podcast either one time, multiple times, become a monthly supporter. That way you can help us on our journey to make podcasting a full-time gig so we can continue to bring you more great podcasting content. As well, be sure to visit the Kiwi Design link in our show notes as well, where you can go and shop for different Oculus Quest 2 VR accessories, whether it's knuckle straps, lens protectors, face shields, whatever. Kiwi has you covered. So again, visit the Kiwi Design link in our show notes, help support the podcast, and pick yourself up some sweet Oculus Quest 2 gear.